Hello, welcome to King's Table. My name is Obad.
And this is Phil Nelson over here.
Today we're going to be discussing speaking your truth, the benefits it has, how to do it in a healthy way, and how it is liberating. So before we start, cue the music. All right, back to it. So, Phil, I don't know about you, but for me, how I feel that my experience was on speaking my truth was it was always don't.
Why is that?
I feel like that because, growing up, like if I had something on my mind, if I felt a certain way about something, it was always, shh, don't talk about it, And it's crazy because one of my really close friends, he shared a story with me. We were hashing it out about how he went through divorce and like how he felt and this and that and men's issues in general. Mm-hmm. And he was like, and he's 50 and change, so he's twice my age.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And he said something that hit me. He's like, yeah, men are not supposed to talk about their feelings. I was like, what I thought was, yo, he's twice my age, And if he's saying that at that age, that means when he was my age, that's exactly what he's feeling,
right.
And it's like, that's 25 years back.
I hear you. I do want to speak in that. I think men in general, and I'll definitely put myself in this bucket, like at a very young age, we're conditioned or trained to believe that society has this picture of the macho man that can't have any flaws.
Exactly.
Right? Or if the person has flaws,
that
keep
they're
them
weak.
Quiet.
Exactly.
Right? Right? Because they would be considered weak.
Yeah.
If those were ever,
revealed or it's supposed to be like, yo, this is it.
What I think is so dope about, what you want to put together is providing that kind of safe space where it's like, okay, these are the things that I'm going through.
Yeah.
Right? So that if we fast forward and we get to 50 years old, we're not looking back like, damn, I wasted 20 years of my life hiding behind what I really want to say to the world or what I really want from my partner or whatever the case is, because I'm not explaining what I want and what I need or what I'm struggling with.
Yeah, and right? I think it's like going off of that, like it's very important to speak your truth because like
1000%.
It's just the communication, right?
It's authentic.
Right? And it's like when you communicate, to your partner, you open a door of understanding,
Right.
Because I feel like when your partner understands like what you're going through, they'll be more empathetic and like understanding and reasonable. But if you hide behind, they have to know, And I feel like speaking your truth just goes it goes further than just feelings. It's like your ambitions, your passions, your goals.
Certainly.
And I feel like it develops like a level of emotional maturity. They say that women mature more faster than guys.
Wherever they are.
Yeah. Right?
Yes, they say.
And I feel like to an extent that's true because of that emotional maturity, that, hey, this is how it made me feel, or this is what I want,
Yeah.
And I think that's very healthy, right?
So like when you have, any particular man that is afraid to speak their truth.
Yeah.
I think that is counterproductive in a couple of different ways. Because we end up living, and I've been, I'm no better, no different. Go through the same struggles, right? Like I've got my own things that I go through. However, I believe wholeheartedly that if we all continue to just pretend that these issues don't exist, right, we're not really living our highest potential.
Yeah.
Right. And then let's just apply that to a relationship, right? And I'll even bring mine in for a second. So if I were to continue living on the surface of what I thought I needed to be a good husband, to be a good father. And this is what everyone else needed from me. And I was doing those things. I would be able to rationalize and sleep well because I'm taking care of others.
Yeah.
Right? But then who's taking care of me?
Exactly.
Especially if I'm not going to do it. Right?
Exactly. And you have to take ownership.
You absolutely have to. So anything that I want, my ambitions, my goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
My wife, she knows all of them,
Yeah,
right?
no,
And
that's
probably
good.
more information that she wants to know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, why we work well is we both are honest. And it's like sometimes it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking my truth and like telling her the things that I wanted or the things that she had to tell me that she wanted was hard. It was
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
It's very
It
uncomfortable.
was easier to just kind of walk through the day and just go through the routine, pick
Mm-hmm.
up Cam from school, get him home, eat dinner, do a little bit of work, go home, like go to sleep.
Yeah.
It's just, but we weren't really growing. It was just
Stagnant.
it's just a repeat of yesterday, a repeat of yesterday. But at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
all of these negative emotions will somehow
Resurface.
somehow they're going to show up in physical reality somehow.
Yeah,
right?
and
so it's like address these things.
And I feel like when it comes to these issues that you have or ambitions or whatever, like if you don't speak them, you will become those issues.
Yes,
You know?
haunted by them.
And I feel like speaking them is very uncomfortable, especially for men because one, we don't fucking know how to,
Yeah,
And I feel like I'm starting to do that more recently, like a month or two ago, like in the way I express my feelings is like a kid.
Okay.
It's like
ah,
I don't like
that's
that.
big. That's big.
I don't, and it's clear, it's straight to the point, and because kids they speak the truth. When they don't like something,
brutally
they'll
honest,
they'll say it,
unfiltered.
And I feel like for me, getting into that mindset of like I don't like it, or even not negative stuff only, but like positive things, like hey, I genuinely appreciate the fact that you did this for me, and this is how it made me feel. Thank you.
Yeah.
Those simple things can go a long way.
Huge. I love the point you said about kids. What I've learned through a lot of personal development work, right?
Yeah.
Through benchmark, even internal gym to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
It's the conditioning that happens to a child from age 1 to 7 pretty much formulate how they're going to show up as an adult.
Yeah.
Our limiting beliefs, what we learning all the rules of the world, right?
Yeah.
The rules not just of your house, but of the world, and like understanding these things. So we're shaped at a very, very early age.
Mm-hmm.
And what we see, what I saw, all my heroes, it doesn't matter who it was. They were as big as God in my eyes, right? They had it all figured out. They had all the successes in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But like they almost weren't human because you only saw that one particular side.
Yeah.
Right? Like who knows what happens behind closed doors?
No one really
Right?
does.
Right? So it's like instead of letting those things fester and fester and fester and fester, having a space to be able to talk about these things and have a dialogue, right? Because it's like whatever I'm going through, I can promise you someone else is going through something very similar.
Similar,
to what
or
I'm
if
going
not
through.
worse,
Exactly.
or even less.
Exactly. So if they don't want to talk about it themselves, at least they can hear to other men talk about it here, right? So you can find solutions and just try to find ways to constantly grow.
Yeah, and
Seriously.
and like one thing that I've like seen in my life is like there's I've had friends close to me that all they did was just drink, smoke weed,
Sure.
Party, whatever, and like they look like they had it all together in their like personal life, but I feel like those things were like substances that they abused to kind of like I guess numb the pain essentially.
Sure.
Where it's like, yo, I'm dealing with this and I don't want to talk about it, so I'll bury it in the back of my mind and I'll numb it whenever I think of it with this substance, right?
Yeah.
And
I think it's a problem.
it is a problem.
I think it's a huge problem.
I think anything can be a drug if it's not kept in check.
Sure.
But at the same time, like when you don't talk about your truth and you don't speak it, in your psyche, it's like holding you down. It's a rock in your mind,
Yeah.
And just like how you said, it'll show up in other areas of your life.
It certainly will. And I think it's not asking yourself or any person, not asking themselves the question of what they really want.
Yeah, and that's
Right?
important.
Like if you were to spend 10 minutes and I gave you a pencil and a piece of paper and said, hey, write down what you want. Right.
Yeah.
Once you got past all the fancy cars, clothes, all this, like, what do you really want out of life? Like, I think a lot of people would struggle to answer that question. I know I did when someone presented me, like, what do you want? And I'm like, car, house, like, right? I'm spitting these things out, but like, what do I really want out of life? Like, what purpose do we have? I don't think we asked ourselves those questions.
Yeah.
So I would say start there, like, literally figure out what are you passionate about, what makes you happy, and then like write those things down so you can really figure out what your truth is, right? Figure those things out instead of trying to live for other people.
Yeah.
Right? It just
I feel like it's like what you want, and then also identifying the things that hold you back, fear, worthlessness, doubt, etc. I feel like when you understand those and you write those down, those are real. You'd be like, this is what holds me down, and you could attack those things. You'd be like, instead of
go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was saying, instead of like taking that energy of numbing it by substance abuse or whatever, you could deal with it head on and attack it and be like, okay, I'm gonna conquer this thing this month, this year, today, whatever, and then the next thing and the next thing. That way you have control over it. You have control over like the things that piss you off or the things that make you happy, you know?
And I think all of that falls into the bucket of our own thoughts.
Definitely that. Like definitely
our thoughts are really the catalyst to our actions. Like we can say like, oh, I want to work out, right? So you tell myself, oh, tomorrow I'm going to work out, right? Tomorrow comes around and I'm not feeling well, or it's just I'm not in the mood, or whatever the case is, and then it just gets pushed off and pushed off and pushed off. When really it's just not controlling my thoughts, right? Because everything can sound like an excuse or a rational way out, right? Instead of dealing with the issue. So I think, like for me personally, like I feel meditation is key.
Meditation is
key. I think that, literally a major key in my life now.
Yeah.
Because I'm able to actually look at the thought for what it is and understanding that I place meaning on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So when those, I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I don't have the resources, all these things are just thoughts. They mean absolutely nothing until we attach an emotion to it.
Exactly. So and that emotion is key.
That's the huge part, right?
Yeah.
So if it's, I don't feel I'm good enough, if I attach an emotion to I'm not good enough, then I'm not going to try anything, because that becomes a belief. And then it starts with a thought, then it becomes a belief, and then all of a sudden we're a victim to
living
belief,
that,
right?
Yeah.
So I think it's constantly, through meditation, being able to see, okay, these are just thoughts, and then I don't have to attach an emotion to it, but then I can actually replace it with an affirmation.
Yeah.
Right?
See, and
like little things like that, I think are huge, and it just. As a man, it's like, oh, we're not supposed to meditate, and or that's for women, and like nah, dude, like mental health, I think, is the most important thing for me, period. Right? If I'm not right up here, then I
nothing
don't show
else.
Up well.
Exactly, and I think mental health definitely for men is like where a lot of the issues come from. With men, it's like we're so. I feel like we're so, conditioned, right, to just be tough, these macho, the toxic masculinity, Yeah. I think that's the image of like that's what we got to be. But in reality, it's like, you don't have to be that if if you practice mental health, just like any form of health and exercise, you'll get better at it.
Absolutely.
Control your mentality, you control your emotions.
Absolutely.
And then you control your life.
It takes practice. And I think it's the instant gratification age where, if I don't see an immediate result now, I just don't do it. Right? So, certain things that I'll tell my son about, when things are hard for him and he's not getting it. I'm just like, look, there was a point in time in your life where you couldn't walk. Like, it was too hard. Look at you now. Not only are you walking, you're running, you're sprinting, you're jumping off of other things. And it's like, it took a lot of practice. It took a lot of failure too, of not getting it right the first time, but sticking with it. Look at you now. And I think you can apply that concept to anything. If it's mental health, right? And figuring out, okay, these are my thoughts. This is what I want. Asking yourself those questions. Yeah, it's going to feel weird because you don't do it. It's not part of your fabric of what you do every day. Right?
Yeah.
But the more you do it, the more you practice, the more I do it, right? Then it just becomes
natural.
It's more of a lifestyle thing.
Exactly.
Right.
And getting to that point, like of mental health, like once you, like there has to be a point in your life where you're like, okay, I need to fix this, right? And it's like getting to that point of, finding out, speaking your truth and your hurt, how do you approach that? I feel like that's a good thing that, we should talk about, such as like approaching it is like, okay, take a seat, relax your mind. Think of like, or even triggers, right? Triggers have a bad name. It's like, even in your day, when whatever is going by, think of what triggers you and gets you angry, and then think of why.
That's
it's like
That's fantastic.
Understand that you have an emotion, and then ask yourself why. And don't say I'm angry. I'm feeling angry. Because when you say I am angry, then you become the
you
anger.
own it, then it becomes yours.
Exactly. And it's like when you feel it, it's something that you're going through. It's a cycle, but that cycle will end.
Yeah.
And I think that it's the best way I would say to like approach speaking your truth is like to understand like, hey, it's a feeling and it's not real in the sense of like it controls you and it is who you are.
Right. There's got to be some sort of buffer between that emotion and you, the person.
Yeah, and the reaction, right? Almost.
There's something I've learned about the gift of awareness.
Yeah.
Right. I picked up a book. This is Eckhart Tolle. I was telling you about this one.
The Earth, right?
New Earth.
New Earth.
And learning about awareness. So when I meditate and, a million thoughts go in my mind. Like, did I, that email I got to send or that person I got to call or what TV show's on, like all these different things. And it's like literally putting it into some sort of visual where it's just a cloud passes by where I'm not attached to it. Like that just goes away and then just try
That's a cool way.
And just recenter. And really, because I think it's not until we become
attached.
Well, what I'm going for is like when we can actually focus on ourselves and not be distracted by
the winds of the world,
day out, whatever, right? For us to really understand, like, okay, what's my truth? What's my purpose? Or whatever you want to call it. How do I get this out? I think you first have to identify it. It's like that only happens when we're brutally honest with ourselves. Right?
Yeah.
That moment, right, when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, when you get out the shower, when you see you and no one else, right? When you can be brutally honest with ourselves and be like, okay, these are the actual things that I want. These are the things that make me happy. These are the things I want to share with a partner. But it's identifying what those are. And then once you have them, then it's a whole new. It's a whole new ball game. It comes down to just execution at that point.
Yeah,
just do it. Like,
and then I feel like the hardest thing is getting to that point and speaking, and then after that, everything else, like the work is easy. Like you can work at it as simply as you can now work at it. And it's just a matter of, like you said, execution and taking action.
Here's the thing, though, for the person that may consider looking at themselves, for their own mental health or figuring out their own truth. For the person that doesn't do it, they already know what tomorrow's going to look like.
Yeah.
They already know. You know what that result
looks like.
Same as today, right?
Same as yesterday.
Exactly. So I would challenge anyone that just like, you know what? If you've got this this idea that my life could be 1% better, 2% better, 10x better, whatever it is, you've got to start somewhere. You've got to do something a little different than what you have been.
Yeah.
Right? We know the old adage, right? Expecting a different result. How does it go? What's the Einstein thing?
Expecting a different result with the same action.
Same thing. Yeah. Sorry, I butchered that. But it really rings true because how can we expect a different result if my actions aren't changing?
Exactly, dude.
Right? And we're just hoping and wishing, and that's not real. It comes down to committing to whatever decision needs to be made.
Yeah.
And execution.
And right? Exactly. And going back to like how to speak your truth, I think it's very important because like I think nowadays like men have two, I guess, buttons that go off when they feel an emotion. They either implode or they explode.
Okay.
Implode is like they'll hurt themselves some way by, shutting themselves up, substance abuse, or even as far as suicide, or exploding in the sense of like they have this anger and they project it to other people, like they'll like all these mass shootings, men,
That's crazy.
That's
think
crazy.
About it like
exactly.
That. It's never even crossed my mind.
That's how I
there
see
hasn't
it.
Been like a female out there like wrecking shop. Like,
exactly, dude. And I feel like there's other ways like in the domestic violence like statistics. The last that I remembered it was roughly 50-50, give or take 5%. But still, like like physically hurting your partner, or emotionally hurting your partner, or mentally, like that's all. Like I can't deal with my shit, so I'm gonna put that shit on you.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's unhealthy. So I think that like how I do it, like how I said earlier, was like just act like a kid and speak my truth. And any understanding like woman or person will respect it because you're speaking your truth and you're being honest and direct.
Yeah.
And I think that is like the healthiest way to do it is like being honest and direct. And it doesn't have to be like you go to your boss and be like, I want this
Sure.
raise. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just
There's a method to it, I'm sure.
it's just like take a small steps. You know, it doesn't have to. You don't have to jump in the pool, at the deep end of the pool. You could dip your toes in and slowly get comfortable and adjust it to it. You know.
But I think it's the authentic piece about, how do I physically go about speaking my truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we can start with one, identifying it. Yeah, sure. Okay, so now I have my truth. How do I speak it?
Yeah.
Right? I think the only way that it comes across as effective and something that will work for you is it has to be authentic.
Yes,
Right?
authenticity is
Right?
key.
And then we
Authenticity
talked
is
about
key.
authenticity. We talked about honesty, and I think those are two things that are I would say, lacking a little bit in like our day to day kind of conversations and chats with people. Right? We keep things really, really surface because it's safe. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas we don't really want to go down a couple layers deeper, because my truth, if I share my truth, now I become vulnerable. Now I become open to judgment. And like, I think that's the part that keeps men from speaking their truth, is the fear of any other outcome that they're not prepared for, as opposed to just owning it because it's real for them.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I stand for and this is what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden judgment comes in. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't open my mouth in the first place. And I think that's the problem. Whereas as soon as someone's authentic, they get judged. But what I want people to at least flip the script to is like, you know what?
The respect.
I respect the hell out of somebody that has a backbone.
Yeah, like I'm
what
not
I'm
gonna lie.
saying?
Like
Like-
I've had an experience like that. Like one of my friends, like we were all getting together for dinner, and for one of our buddies' birthdays, and one of the friends like, oh, I don't like that restaurant. Hit me up after, and I was like, and I hit him up personally. You know, it was a group text that he said that on. I hit him up personally. I was like, hey man, look, no,
Just
never
kidding,
like
just
that,
kidding.
never like that.
Just kidding.
But I was like, hey man, look, he invited you because he cared. Like, if you don't want to come, don't come. If you do, cool. But don't say you don't want to come because it's inconvenient for you.
Yeah.
You know? And like, he responded, he's like, oh, I didn't know it was a birthday thing. I thought it was just casual, you know? And I was like, well, shit, my bad.
Yeah.
You know, that was my bad for doubting you and, you know, not putting a better judgment on you, you know? And he's like, it's all good. I respect the fact that you kept it real with me. And I was like, I expect you to do the same.
Yeah.
And then the conversation ended. But like the fact that just the respect that you earned, you know? And it's like, as men, like, having respect is powerful, you know?
Oh, agreed.
It's definitely
Agreed.
powerful.
Agreed.
And speaking your truth authentically, direct, is like the best way to like have people admire you, because they know like, and it even builds trust, because it's like, if he can call me out on my shit, then, you know, I'm gonna fuck with this guy, because at any time if I step out of line, he'll be there to kind of guide me. You know?
Whereas the flip side is you don't want anyone to sugarcoat your life.
Exactly.
Right? So like, to your example about, working with a boss, right? So if I find myself, in corporate America and, I'm making, just throw a number out, say I make 80 grand a year. Okay. And I feel my value is 100. I feel like my work is 100, right? No, I don't need to go beat down my manager's door and say, you know what, I'm demanding this. Like, there's a way to do it, right? But if I feel that I'm undervalued or I'm underappreciated, I would approach my manager with facts. This is my production. These are my numbers. This is what I feel I'm worth, and I want you to know about it, right? So by the time maybe, your merit increase or your review comes up at the end of the year, he knows exactly where you stand. But if your manager, if you didn't know, if you never stood up and spoke your truth to your boss and told him what you felt your value was, they're going to give you the minimum.
Yeah, they're going to give you like
whatever the bare minimum is raise that they can offer you, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Right? More often than not, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's because people don't really want to say
what's on their mind.
what's on there, because it opens up for judgment, and they're vulnerable because, I want a raise. Okay, everybody wants a raise, right?
Exactly.
Everybody wants a raise. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
How many people are willing to have the conversation with their boss and be vulnerable enough and tell them why they deserve it?
Exactly.
Right? And I think there's that disconnect for some reason.
And it's I think the vulnerability, like I feel like when it comes to men, like their biggest vulnerability is their emotions.
Oh yeah.
That's why they just like hunker it down and they don't talk about it, man. Like
that's huge, and because that speaks a lot to me and not how I was raised, right?
Dude, and I'm telling you, dog.
So like my dad, military man, he's a big, strong figure. He's about 6'5", 230, and like was he 74? and he can still do 100 push-ups right now, right? Like
God,
that's pops,
man,
right?
I can't even do.
And like I remember, at a young age, I'm waking up at 0600,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm like 0600, like I mean that's just
going
kind of
on?
like what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
He
yeah.
was very very stoic, and he was very emotionally detached. You
Yeah.
never saw him rattle. He was never too high. He was never too low. He was like a man has always got to stay even keel. Like that's what he told me, and that became a belief, right? So anytime that I was feeling emotional or sad, he never knew about it. Mom knew all about it,
Yeah.
right? Like so, naturally over the course of time, I just had a much better relationship with my mother, and I think that only happens because I was vulnerable and I was being honest. Whereas now I'm looking back, I'm 36 now, right? I got my own family, and I'm still trying to patch. Not that I have a bad relationship with my dad, but it could have been a much better
Yeah.
relationship if we were open and honest, and I chose to be vulnerable and really speak my truth to him and let him know exactly how I felt instead
Yeah.
of walking around eggshells. Right?
Yeah,
Fear
see,
of judgment, right? It's
That's
crazy.
that's
It's crazy.
crazy. Like, and I feel like that's how I grew up too. But like how you did with your dad, but that's how I grew up with both my parents.
Okay. Okay.
And just going off like how you said, like, it helped you create a better relationship with your mom.
For sure.
And I feel like you having that avenue even translated into your marriage, because you can be direct and honest and speak your truth and, talk about your emotions and, get it off. And I'm pretty sure there was times where like you cried.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. I'm human.
Yeah.
I'm human, right? But
Like-
I would do my best. I'm not going to say never. I would do my best not to have my dad see it.
Yeah.
Right. And how that manifests itself now in my adult life. Like, no, I'm not crying like I used to as a kid. But if I'm struggling, even like I'm struggling financially or whatever, right? I would never tell my dad.
Yeah.
I would never tell him, right? Just because, a man is supposed to be this. And if I'm not living up to that, I don't want you to have something over me to judge me on.
Yeah.
But mom knows everything, right? It's just
yeah.
because the space was available. That's really the only difference between the two is she provided a space where he did not.
Yeah.
Not that he's better or she's better, but
But
there
it
was
was
just
just-
no space for me to talk.
Exactly.
Right? So now, like fast forward in 36, and we're on this podcast, and we can talk about anything in the world that we want to. And using this topic is like I want to make sure that those spaces are available for people.
And if they're not, to like create them,
You've
and
got
put
to
them
do
in
it
the
yourself.
Exactly.
Like, who are you surrounding yourself with? Right?
100%.
We're the some of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Like I think that's true.
Yeah.
Right. So if we're around a bunch of enablers and all this stuff, like you're not gonna have that space. But do you have anyone that can call you on your bullshit?
Yeah.
Right. like literally, and respect that side of it.
Yeah.
I think that's the challenge where you're not like all on the fence, but like respect the side of it.
And I think like creating those avenues is like, I think that conversation will be harder than will be the hardest conversation to have before any of the vulnerable shit comes up, because that vulnerable shit is like known, like these are things I'm feeling, whereas like that conversation, the person could accept it or reject it. Those are the 2 options you have. And if they reject it and you're like, oh damn, like that, and I got to cut this person out or, I got to limit myself, I think getting to the point of like creating it is like, again, being authentic and honest and saying, hey, look, I want to be vulnerable with you. Can we talk about this?
Right.
I learned that from Jay Shetty, so I'm gonna quote him on it.
Right on.
But that's how like with my ex, like we had a rough breakup, and I had a lot of like negative thoughts, suicidal thoughts of worthlessness, of like, and I was like 9 months later, I was like, and it is just weird as hell. But I was like, hey, like I want to be vulnerable with you. Can we talk about this? And she was like, yeah, dude, I'm down. Like,
Okay.
and it was weird to hear, like, yeah, I'm down. But I talked about it, and like I felt so much better after, we don't really talk like that anymore. I'm just gonna throw that out.
No, I mean you still did it,
Yeah.
and you got the poison out. Right?
Yeah.
Instead of like being drowned by all the negative thoughts, because you could have just stayed that cycle by yourself if you never approached her. But at least you were able to voice whatever was going on inside
Yeah.
and get it out. Because if it's not out, it's just going to sit there and fester and fester and fester, and all those thoughts have the potential, right,
Become
to
reality.
become beliefs. Those beliefs become your reality.
Exactly.
Right, where it's like you were more than enough. Right, the worthlessness thing, the suicidal thoughts, like, oh, those are thoughts. Those are just thoughts. But if you spend enough time on those thoughts, they become beliefs, which definitely tie into our realities. And it's just really about creating that space to get the negative shit out.
Yeah.
It's poison.
Definitely, man. And like going back to crying, you know, like
Yeah.
I still have trouble crying because like I don't know, I feel like for me it's like a muscle, you know, that's just been worked out so much that like anytime I cry, I know like exactly what pressure points in my head are gonna start firing, you know, and
Got you.
like my reaction to it is like I'll just bite down and be like, no, no, don't cry, you know, and like I'll get teary eyed, but I won't cry. Like the craziest thing was like when my grandfather died, I didn't cry, you know, and I felt like it scared me because I was like, am I human? Like this is someone close to me. I'm supposed to cry, but
See, but like
I
right
was
there though,
numb.
but right there, who says you're supposed to cry? Even if it is okay, but who
Yeah.
says you're supposed to? Right?
Well, I mean, I think the reason I had that expectation was because I was like, this is someone that's close to me, you know? It's like, why would I not cry if someone that's close to me is gone, you know? And so,
I mean, I get that.
yeah.
It's just as a man, you know, we're told we're not supposed to cry, even in situations where they're highly emotional or emotionally charged or whatever the case is. It's been a minute since I've sobbed, right?
Yeah.
However, like to your point, I've got a story when recently my brother passed away.
Sorry
And,
to hear that.
No, it's life. Things happen. And I wasn't emotionally like available. You know, I found myself in like a weird spot, like kind of like what you're talking about. Like
Yeah.
I'm supposed to feel this certain way, like,
Yeah.
but I'm not. Like, so what's? And like I remember doing a meditation on it, and it was really just I just accepted what happened. Like it's
Yeah.
I cannot change it, right? Like I can accept the fact that I feel sad, but it doesn't have to manifest itself into tears.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Right? But if it did, it's okay.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
It's okay because it's real. It's not like I was holding them back per se. It was just I just wasn't available at that point. Maybe it was shock or maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
All I want to get across is that it is absolutely okay to cry. That is a real emotion. You're a human.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's
Humans
authentic.
cry. It's back to authenticity.
Yeah.
Right? But are the people around you providing a space where it's okay to cry? Right? Without being ridiculed for it. Right?
Yeah.
Going back to like third grade, right? Like,
Exactly.
no one wants to play with the crybaby. Like I get it. I was conditioned the same way.
Yeah.
But as an adult, looking at my son Cameron, right? If he wants to cry, I'll let him cry, and then we're gonna talk about it afterwards, right? Like so, feel the emotion. Don't suppress the emotion. Feel it fully, but then understand why you're feeling that way. And I think that's the work or the missing piece that we're not doing as men.
Yeah.
We want to feel a certain way, and then we just want to sweep it under the rug, sweep it under the rug, sweep it under the rug.
And then like 20 years later, like things just pop off in like the worst ways.
But even a couple of years ago, I would have responded a different way. I would have told you, okay, you know, I can sweep so much stuff under the rug. And then someone would say, okay, there's going to come a point in time you're going to bust at the seams, right? And I'd be like, no, I'm just going to grab some more yarn and just knit a bigger rug, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, so I was under that. I just had to hide everything. I wanted to just isolate and how it manifested itself. It was like, yeah, I did go through things I didn't need to be doing in my life. Like got into drugs and just poor choices through my college years.
Yeah.
Like, because I wasn't dealing with the issue. I thought I was just by putting it under the rug and acting like it didn't exist, but it was still coming through in a different way.
Exactly.
Right?
And it always does. It always does.
As soon as if we all have our own sort of compass, right, where we kind of know the direction we're supposed to be going in, like internally, we know when we're making a bad choice or a poor choice, right? But it's falling victim to that over and over and over again. I think it's just a product of not dealing with any issues.
Yeah, definitely
And
that.
it doesn't need to get that far.
Yeah.
It really doesn't need to get that far.
Now, I'm going to wrap this podcast up, you know, this episode by saying, you know, speaking your truth, it'll set you free. And if not for anyone else, for you. And I always have one closing quote that I always say is treat the world better than it treated you. And I think it's important because, you know, as men, even though we go through so much shit, you know, you never lose by being a good person.
Ooh. Facts.
So,
Facts.
so on that note, you know, thank you guys for taking a seat at the King's table. We'll see you here back next week.
That's right.
Have a good one.